Hey folks, Rob Avis here. I'm here with Kai Coker, and today he's going to talk a little bit about his urban farming business and the evolution that has occurred over the last 7 years and what he's managed to create here in Calgary. What's really bittersweet for me doing this interview is that Kai is actually going to be selling Grand Trunk Veggies here in Calgary. It's bittersweet because Kai's going to be moving on to bigger pastures somewhere else, which is really exciting also because I know he's going to continue to increase the impact that he's had within the local food scene. So I'm really excited about that. I'm also really excited that Kai's come forward and asked to be interviewed on the Verge channel because it means that we're going to get his message out a little bit further, but also Kai is selling an urban farming business, and specifically his urban farming business. And so the reason that's kind of exciting and the way that Kai is kind of couching this is that urban farming is really attractive to a lot of people because it doesn't cost that much to get into it. It's not like buying $1 million farm and having to buy a $250,000 tractor and all of that stuff. A lot of the value in urban farming actually is in the knowledge, and it's hard-earned knowledge that you get over 7 years. And so what Kai is going to be doing is helping to transition that knowledge. So let's take a look at his interview. I think you're going to get a lot of value just listening to some of the insights that he's had over the last 7 years. And then from there, we'll give you guys some information on how to get in touch with Kai in the event that you want to learn a little bit more about Grand Trunk Veggies and kind of how that succession is going to occur. All right, let's get into the interview.
All right, let's do it. Yeah, so my name is Kai Coker, and I run an urban farm that I call Grand Trunk Veggies. Grand Trunk is the historical name of where the neighborhood where the farm started, so that's why. And then on top of that, we've built a second business called Chef's Farmer, which we use to distribute the Grand Trunk produce as well as other local farm produce to restaurants and grocers. I started this business because I wanted to do work that was meaningfully connected to the environment, and after taking the permaculture design course with Verge, it really opened my eyes to the kind of consequences of the industrial food system, and so I was inspired to transform urban lawns into large-scale producing gardens, both to, reignite people's awareness that they could grow their own food, and then also to produce enough food that I could have a business for myself that kept me outside and, building soil and learning how to grow food on a larger, smaller commercial scale. So the garden has kind of ebbed and flowed over the years as we've taken on and abandoned various properties, but in its current size, it is 9 properties in total, and I say about 1/5 of an acre total space. And all of those properties are within 2 neighborhoods. They're all within 1.5 kilometers apart. So we've really worked hard to concentrate all the lawns to be close together. It just makes it more manageable, and in a sprawling city like Calgary, you want everything to be close together so you're not spending your time driving. I've been running Grand Trunk for 7 years. I think the biggest insight I've had is just how much produce you can produce on such a small amount of land, and also just what an urban myth the kind of planting schedule times are within the different zones. So, Calgarians are very convinced that you can only put seeds in the ground after a May long weekend, and I've proven time and time again that isn't the case at all. And you actually have quite a much longer season than you would anticipate, I think, in a place like Calgary. The most enjoyable aspect I've had about running this business is just the ability to work outside and meet really great people, just people who are really, committed to eating well and supporting the work that I'm doing, and then also, winters off. Yeah, so over the 7 years, I've learned a lot. The business has evolved a lot. For one thing, like I said, the proximity of the yards being so close together, that's been a huge learning curve. Just understanding that there might be a huge property, outside of Calgary that you could use in addition to the ones that you're growing on within the city, but that commuting times and the cost of gas just going back and forth is hugely inefficient. As well as, there's been a lot of other evolutions that have been smaller in terms of like the tools that I use, the tools that are really necessary to make it work, the amount of what material needs to be required to build a new garden, what amendments need to be added each year to maintain healthy soil, and what are the best ways to reduce the amount of work that you're doing, but subsequently like continuously improve the soil to a great degree. If I was giving advice to someone just starting out in this business, the first thing I think I would suggest is to be really anal about where you choose to take properties, because I think it's better to start off with less properties that are closer together than to have, a full acre all scattered about. I think that you will learn more because you'll be able to concentrate your efforts on producing food as opposed to spending time in a vehicle. I think that's the number one thing I would recommend to start off. So before I started Grand Trunk Veggies, I was working as a clinician for students with learning challenges, learning disabilities. Working as an educator, running programs for reading and writing and math. And I was working part-time as a writer, just trying to get kind of a writing career up and started. So the reason that I transitioned out of that work was after several years of doing it, I didn't have a feeling of fulfillment that I had. And, ever since I was very young, I've really wanted to find work that had a meaningful impact. For many years, I thought that would be within ecology, like ecological work or biological work. And farming, I just think learning the consequences of the food system and the thought that I could be an active participant in change really inspired me to do that. And seeing other figures, notable figures such as like Curtis Stone or people from Never Sink Farm, and their ability to make a living wage, a living income off of growing produce really inspired me to take it by the reins and see if I could also do that, even in a climate like Calgary. As a result of transitioning, I've learned and grown a lot. I will not say that it was immediately easy. There were a lot of growth pains that came along with that transition, but once the methodologies were understood and once my farm as a unit began to kind of operate a little bit more organically and with just a lot better systems in place, I felt really good about the transition. I still feel really good about the transition. It's been an amazing ride, and I have no regrets. I've proven that it is a viable business, and that Calgary is it seems like an insatiable appetite for local food these days. It's been growing, and one thing I should add is that for years, in addition to running my own farm, I was also president and general manager of a farm cooperative here in town, and so that really divided my time. So unfortunately, for the first few years, I wasn't able to dedicate 110% of my time to my farm, and I think that had I had that opportunity, it would have, I think it would have been exponential growth, and I would have gotten to the point of understanding those systems a lot sooner than it actually took me. So after 7 years of working with Grand Trunk, my family and I have kind of want to grow and move on, and so we're going to be moving on to another part in the world, and this is open up this incredible opportunity for my business, for me to mentor somebody who's really inspired by the potential to grow food locally. I've spent 7 years building up a really solid customer base, gotten to know both incredible business owners and then just incredible homeowners who are really encouraged by the work that I'm doing. And, I've worked out so many kinks within this business that I'm really excited to both move forward within my own life, but also to kind of pass the torch and provide the opportunity for someone who would want to move into this line of business and also be connected both with the soil and, the citizens who are really inspired by local food. So with Remiss, because we are really going to miss this business, but I'm really excited, really enthusiastic for someone to take this on. We will be selling Grand Trunk Veggies. So with Remiss, we will be selling Grand Trunk Veggies. It obviously is a little bit bittersweet because I love this business, and we've invested so much time building it up to where it's at, but I'm also really excited both for my own transition to this other world that I'm moving into, but also for somebody to take the reins and, carry forward my vision. And I'm so excited to see what someone else could build from this. And we will be selling Grand Trunk Veggies. We don't want to just sell Grand Trunk Veggies to anybody. We really want this to be to somebody who really sees this vision and really wants to carry this forward and sees the potential of urban food within the city of Calgary. So much of the work that I've done in building this exists in my head. And so with the sale of this business, obviously there are some assets that will be gained in the purchase of this business, but the biggest part is really my knowledge and all the understanding that I've gained over these years. So with the sale of this business, we are offering 1 day a week for 7 months, 10 hours a day, as part of this exchange, where we will be doing Skype or video calls to answer any questions, to give any lowdowns, breakdowns of things that I've experienced, or any questions that the purchaser might have that they just want to throw something around. I will be there. I'm committed to those hours every single week to make sure that happens, to make sure that this transition is as seamless as it can possibly be, and that you can hit the ground running and not have to go through all those growing pains that I had to get to be able to build this as a sustainable, really excellent business.
So hopefully you found that interview insightful, and I know that if you have any questions about urban farming in general, that you'll totally answer. You're totally committed to the local food scene and want to see it progress. But if you're interested in learning more about Grand Trunk Veggies and whether it's a fit for you, I'll leave a link to Kai's website in the show notes below where you can get in touch with him. It's at
chefsfarmer.com.
Okay, awesome. And get in touch with them. This is a really unique opportunity. Not too often do you see a business like this sold and then have it come with 7 months of mentorship.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And so that's 1 day a week, 1 day a month.
1 day a week. 1 day a week.
1 day a week?
1 day a week.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So yeah. Well, because I think that you need that time. I think especially given the seasonality, and within a season like Calgary, everything is kind of compact, right? So I think once a month, so much is going to change in a month, whereas even in a week, so much can change. So I really believe that that amount of time, you can parse it out. It doesn't need to be 8 hours a week all at once, right. In 1 day it could be.
So 8 hours a week, basically.
Basically 8 hours a week.
Okay, awesome. So this is a super unique offer, and anybody that wants to get into urban farming that's been scared of failing, basically you've got somebody. So you can fly under somebody's wing, essentially. They've built all the infrastructure, all the social capital, all the equipment that you need. They've kind of figured out what works. This is a really unique opportunity. I have seen a lot of my students go into urban farming, and to be honest, they don't usually make it past year 2 or 3. And so to have an offer of mentorship like this is pretty valuable. So check out Kai's link in the show notes below. And if you have any questions about any of this stuff, or you want my opinion on it, feel free to get in touch with me as well. And man, I wish you all the best on your new venture, and I hope you make some YouTube videos and share your journey with everyone else.
Thank you. Yeah, we will. I mean, it all started with you, so thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks for the inspiration.
All right.